Hey, what's going on, everybody? Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Yes, we are live on Christmas morning. It's 10 a.m. on the East Coast, 7 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, and all around the world. I hope that Santa has already brought you lots of lovely presents and toys and gifts and all the things, and maybe even some AI gifts along the way. Today will be an abbreviated show. We're going to just hang out with you for just a little bit. Merry Christmas, Jeff, who's already in the comments. We weren't sure if we'd have anybody live, but we're happy to see you there. With me today is Andy and Beth, and I'm Brian, aka Santa Brian, for the day. I got my Santa hat on. So already it's a little bit later here. So we've already had the ability to do a little bit of gifts, but I have a teenager now. So as I was just saying to the guys before we got live, hey, what's going on, Gwen, as well? Hiya. Merry Christmas to you. When you have the teenager, you can do a bit more of the sleeping in, and there's no real rush, and we got to the things, but everybody was very excited. People got surprised with gifts, which is always a nice thing. So all good in the family, in the Masseri family household. We're going to kick it off with a little bit of news and some things here, but
this
Andy
doesn't explain why the dogs woke me at 7:30. Like
they knew.
Yeah,
they knew it was Christmas.
Also very excited, the dogs.
They do have presents, but
7:30 doesn't sound that early. We start the show here on the West Coast at 7.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Start at 10.
Well, what I was about to say is, I know, Andy, you can't be with us, and rightfully so. You got little ones in the house, and everybody's very excited. So I know you can't hang with us too long, but you said you had a few top of the show topics here, our news stories. So let's get to those first, and we'll let you get on your way to the family.
Okay, good. So let me knock out a few things that you should know about AI today. First of all, NVIDIA did a deal with Grok, G-R-O-Q, the company that does the language processing units, which accelerate inference and reduce the energy cost of doing inference. So what they did is actually, it had been announced in some press areas as an acqui-hire, that they are basically buying Grok, but they didn't do that. They are acquiring most of the talent at Grok, including the CEO, the CTO, and the top engineers. But the CFO is going to stay at Grok and run the Grok Cloud business, which is separate from the deal. The deal is for a total of about $20 billion of non-exclusive licensing and purchases of Grok capabilities. And so, and then this hiring of most of the talent at Grok coming across to NVIDIA. So it's a very interesting and strange deal, but it's probably being done that way to avoid a formal acquisition, which would create some antitrust scrutiny around NVIDIA and the chip marketplace. Okay, I got a couple more quickies before I run off to be Santa. I wanted to just point this out. I saw a very cool thing from Pew Research that has been done about AI all the way back to 2022, when in 2022, 75% of US adults had heard nothing at all about AI or a little bit about AI. They'd kind of heard AI. And that over the subsequent 3 years, so that was 2022, then 23, 24, 25, that number has grown to declined. Sorry, that number has declined to a total of 53%. Okay, so 53%, more than half, have only heard a little bit about AI or have never heard anything at all about AI. So let's just be clear about where we are in the progression of popular adoption of that. Okay. Then the last thing I wanted to just point out is this kind of very interesting thing about GenAI.mil. So the Department of War announced that they were offering now a big package of AI tools to their military service members for use in their work, right? So this is government versions of the models. So Gemini for Government was the first and initially the only model available, and still is the only model available. And in one undocumented case, GenAI.mil running Gemini and labeled on the screen as Gemini for Government, someone, screenshot, a description of the following, right? It says, okay, Gemini, let's pretend I'm a commander and I ordered a pilot to shoot a missile at a boat I suspect is carrying drugs. The missile blows up the boat. There are 2 survivors clinging to the wreckage. I've ordered to fire another missile to blow up the survivors. Were any of my actions in violation of U.S. Department of War policy? Yes. Several of your hypothetical actions would be in clear violation and are unambiguously illegal orders that a service member would be required to disobey. Okay. Then, literally on the same day that this is going out, they announced that, Grok is going to be added next. Well, so
and that's Grok with a K, not
Grok with a K. Yeah, different Grok. But so my conspiracy mind immediately jumped to, oh wow, they're going to swap out Gemini to Grok, and so that Grok will be trained to not, question.
I was going to say, it sounds more like Grok would just be like, that sounds reasonable. That seems like a reasonable action to take.
The truth is that, GenAI.mil was already announced to be a conglomerate of multiple models. And any frontier model deployed in such a highly political environment can be heavily reinforced or instruction tuned to avoid legal or policy critiques of ongoing operations or to answer only in narrow policy safe ways. Well, Gemini had not been trained to do that in a policy safe way. So we got this very interesting declaration by the AI that, no, this is illegal. All right. With that, I say Merry Christmas to you all. And I'm off to be Daddy Santa.
Enjoy with the family. Thanks for hanging on with us for just a few minutes today. And we'll see you back again tomorrow, possibly.
Thanks.
Great.
See you, Andy. Bye. So, Beth, I was going to say, I didn't want to hold Andy on it, but remember we had just 2 Tuesdays ago, we had that discussion with Anne about the military jobs. And she was saying the wording wasn't, worded in a way that she felt like was inviting of women and other people, right? It was sort of coded perhaps to people like me, right? So that's not really the story. But what I wanted to bring up is just as the reminder for people, I don't remember the name of the website unless you do off the top of your head. But my point to the story is that I saw that was like for 1,000 jobs and they had well over 20,000 applications for those jobs just in the first week. So I don't know the demographics of that data or anything. I didn't see anything like that. So I can't speak to whether it was more people that look like me versus more people that look like you or otherwise who applied for these jobs. But still there was interest is my point. Now that could be the job market. That could be a lot of things, but I think it just points to the interest that it generated for these, well, I guess they're kind of like government. They were 2-year government contract jobs, basically, with no official agreement of future employment beyond those 2 years for these different companies and stuff. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that I think the number of applications that get submitted for jobs is a story outside of everything else. I think people are massively slamming any possibility of employment just because of what's happening. I do have a story about little gifts for everybody. Should you decide that this is the perfect time for you to want to explore coding, or if you are already coding, both Codex and Claude and Claude Code, Claude Pro and Claude Max have reset their limits. And it looks like as of today, maybe as of yesterday, but they're 2x the limits until the 1st of January.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the fact that most people aren't working is your gain, should you decide that you want to code something. And that is pretty exciting for me. I do definitely think that it is because so few people are actually doing work in this period of time. But it's a great opportunity to play with it if you have the chance. So thank you, Santa, Codex, and Cloud Code. We appreciate it.
I was going to say, Beth, I was going to say this yesterday. I think we just got into other conversations that it occurred to me. I don't know. I guess I could log in and find out. I do not remember the last time I used Claude. And so I'm going to guess it's been over 2 months. And that's got to be a first. Now, there's nothing against Claude. I think, honestly, just with the advent of what came out with Gemini, and that just sort of matched what I needed. And I wasn't really, I do have a little story about like Claude's skills. I'm still a little, what's the opposite of bullish? I'm not bullish on the, what's the opposite of bullish? Anyway, throw it in the comments if anybody knows that.
Lackluster.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I still, maybe I'm being unfair to it. Anyway, my whole point to it was there was a news story about skills too, but I was thinking about it yesterday, Beth, and I was like, well, what is the reason I have not been using Claude? Now, on the surface, I think we could definitely say, wow, Gemini got really powerful. And so that did suit things that I was already doing and building. And so it was a neat little fit in the box of what I was already working on. So you tend to go towards those types of tools, right? And I'm not a big coder. I'm not like, you know more than I do when it comes to Python and all those kind of stuff. And you do more in that area. And obviously ChatGPT is ChatGPT. And we talked about the year in review and how much, Anne blew us all out of the water with her numbers, but 8,000 or whatever my numbers were for the year. So this is what I came back with, and I'd be curious to get your feedback on this or your thoughts. It's the limitations. So you just literally talked about getting 2x, right? They just 2x'd it, but outside of this window, this shipness of 2x, this little Christmas bump. My last memories of using Claude were that I would use it and then get blocked, and then use it and get stopped, not blocked, stopped, and then use it and get stopped again. And that's just not conducive. And the next jump up was outside of my price range. And then I think about using Gemini for scaled, I'll say, because I have the pro side for Gemini through the enterprise, right? So I just have the larger Gemini. I can't think of one time at all since Gemini got good, or Gemini 3, let's say, that I was either stopped or that I ran into a context window where it was clear to me that things were going a little sideways because it started to lose its memory from the top of the chat. I can't think of one time either of those. And I've had some mega long chats, but there's one thing to say for a 2 million token context window, but we both know that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get great recall and memory. It just means it can hold a lot, but it doesn't mean it can do it well. I have not seen any slipping as far as my conversations, and I've never once been blocked from continuing to do the work. And I've done stuff from like the Daily AI Show website. I've been using Gemini. That in one session of me sitting down between Lovable and Gemini, in one thread and one chat window on Gemini, 100 could be 100 back and forths. Hey, this isn't working, because I've been using it, as Andy suggested. I've been using it versus running through Lovable credits. Well, thank God, because I can just run through Gemini, and Gemini doesn't seem to care. And that saves me money. I mean, literal money in credits on Lovable by not having to solve problems over there. And that's throwing images and everything else. So I know, Beth, you already know this. I'm just kind of saying this out to the crowd, but I'm just curious, like, have you continued to use Claude Code? Have you used it more? Have you used it less? What kind of limitations do you feel like there are, considering that, you can run up against usage limits for a period of time and then it gets unlocked again? Just curious where you were on it, because it was kind of shocking to me when I thought, geez, I don't know that I've logged in at least 2 months.
I am partial to non-chat interfaces. So when I use Claude Code, I'm using it in Windows PowerShell or some sort of thing like that. I'm using skills that every.to has built, and I am asking it to do some longer context things. I think I hit the rate limit once. We had been working for, it must have been we had been working for 5 hours, which is the capacity within the rate limit hits in Claude. And I think I had to wait for an hour or two, but I was using Claude Code all day at that point. I do think that I think what you are doing with gems and custom GPTs is programming. Like, you are literally programming in English. We would call it pseudocode. So there's no reason for you to go and do it in Python, right? Like, it's doing exactly what you want it to do.
Right.
It's
or it'll write the JSON for me.
We're great. And the Lovable, and then going somewhere else to check Lovable is a great use case, right? It's like a really efficient way to do it.
By the way, asterisks here.
Yeah.
I guess I am using Claude if I'm in Lovable, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. You're using Opus.
Well, I have not logged into Claude.ai.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, if I'm in Lovable, I am using Claude. So there you go.
But to the same point, right?
Yeah.
And if you're like, there is a spot where, okay, so we subscribe to all of these things for $20 a week. $20. No, it's not a week. $20 a month. Don't charge us $20 a week. That was not a premonition or anything like that.
But,
there is a danger that then you leave little drips of what you're doing in all of these different spaces. And then if you don't finish the task, I am like, so where do I think I had that conversation? Right?
Oh, man, that happens to me all the time. Time. Yeah.
I need to build a little interface that logs in as me in these things and does a search on all of the chats, right?
Because I'm in so many different clients, ChatGPT business instances, formerly Teams. Thank God they changed that name. They just got Teams out of the name. Business instances. Yes, man. There's some days where I didn't think to switch, and I was working on a different project in somebody else's instance, because it just happens. You forget to look in the bottom left and be like, oh, I'm on such and such company's instance, And then you're like, you were saying this, I think, yesterday, where you're like, I know I read this, but like, I can't confirm this, but I know I didn't make this up, whatever that news story was yesterday. And that's the way I feel. Like, I know I talked to something about this problem. And then it's like, was it Gemini? Was it my personal Gemini or Scaled? That's the first one. Then if it's in ChatGPT, my Scaled one, there's a super one that we use for Scale that's different, where we build and test. It's sort of our playground. And then there's all the client ones. And honest to God, it can be a little maddening if I don't drop some breadcrumbs along the way. I want to bring up, I want to say welcome to, I'm sorry, did you have another comment on that before I bring up a comment?
Yeah, just the idea for me of like, that's the breadcrumb is what I remember, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I'm trying to think of the kinds of things that I ask about. So it's not like rate limits, because rate limits might be asked in a bunch of things, right? It's the avocado something. So I'm always trying to remember what was, not just what was I talking about, but what was the unique piece that this is going to come up with. And then each service but like codes that differently. So if I said avocado 3 back and forth down, it's not getting found, right? It's spending much more time searching that first instance of going back and forth.
Good call. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm still frustrated at Gemini not being able to fork conversations in the same way that ChatGPT can. And I'm also irritated that none of these people, even though they've developed really amazing image, like image creation and the ability to engage in images, ChatGPT still won't let you fork a conversation that has an image in it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you something
happening. Ooh, yes.
I agree with you. No, I was going to say I have a beef with Gemini on if I start with deep research, I cannot downgrade in the same conversation to instant or fast or whatever, right? Flash, which is troubling because that's not how you do work. There's a point where you start with deep research and then
Yep.
you go surface level with, well, I want to know more about this. And it's weird to me that deep research basically wants to rewrite or redo its deep research because that's the mode you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like such an easy thing. Like, no. I want to start with this big, go look it up. The last one I did for a company, it looked at 240 websites, or so it said, and then cited 47 of them. That's amazing. Can we just to 2025 to be able to do that in one prompt? I sent it to my coworker and I was like, look at this. And he's like, holy moly, right? Because of what it did. But it'll tell you in there, hey, if you want to keep this going and you don't want to use deep research, you got to start a new conversation. Okay.
Right.
I know within about the next 30 seconds, I could save this and move it over and do it. But it seems silly to me. Like, I started a deep research, but hey, Gemini, I really like what you gave me. Now I'd like to do more with this information as the corpus of knowledge, this massive report you gave me back. Now put that as the rag, essentially, and now let me do really amazing things with it. And it just doesn't kind of work that way. It's an interesting thing that I think will get fixed, just like a lot of deals. I wanted to bring up this comment because, first of all, I wanted to say welcome to Ahmad for joining us on LinkedIn. Thank you, Ahmad, for joining us on Christmas Day, wherever you're joining us from. And he says, guys, do you think AI could replace humans in the translation and localization industry? Now, Beth, I know what he means by translation, but I don't think I know what he means by localization industry. Do you? And Ahmad, by the way, feel free to throw more comments in to clarify. But let's just take translation first. Could it replace humans in the translation industry? I have to think with just what we have today with wearables and what Google continues to come out, and obviously there might be bespoke companies that come out in this area that are that good. Will we continue to need human translators? I think at some point, no. I don't know that that's a 2026 solution, but I think at some point it's so good and so instantaneous and not a barrier to natural flow of conversation. Again, not saying we're there today, that it just doesn't really make sense if that AI translator can handle everybody's concurrent conversations in multiple UN type situations in a room. And I don't. Yeah, go ahead, Beth. I just feel like you're going to push back a little bit on this.
I'm going to push back. When you start to talk about UN, is it going to replace translators or supplement the opportunity in a hospital? I think yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's already lots of times where the right translator is not able to be there in that moment. Yep. Whip out your iPad, your iPhone. Let's have that conversation back and forth. I think once we get into diplomacy kinds of situations, there is the nuance becomes way more important. And the nuance in the relationship is way more important as well. And I will just share my story that is a friend of a friend, but actually a real friend of a friend. Because I live outside of Washington, D.C., until I live in Canada. And I have a friend who works with a translator in the State Department. And this translator has like a longer relationship with the corresponding translator in a Chinese translator than the leaders, right? The leaders have changed more often than that relationship.
Sure.
So they know what the people are talking about, right? That trust and that knowledge is something that AI is not going to equal. And it's not going to equal that because that's not the sort of thing that gets written down or trained for an AI.
And that's literally human interaction and the literal time spent in a room live. Right. Yeah.
So I think it's going to increase a lot of opportunities for translation in AI. So yes, I believe that the workload will shrink and we will need fewer people. But I do believe that when diplomacy, negotiation, and trust are factors, that we'll find that the human is still wanting to be in that, right? Like, are you willing to negotiate a $150,000 purchase with somebody's AI? Maybe not, right? Like, maybe your AI goes through all that, but you may want like a human. I think there are times where trust is still going to be human based.
I love that answer. I mean, I learned a lot there. And by the way, I want to bring up we have two follow-ups here. One, Jeff said localization is like British English versus American English. So going back to Ahmad's comment here, would it replace humans in translation and localization? So translation and localization going together. So that's getting into the whole dialect thing, you know, like I live in Florida, which is a definite melting pot. Lots of northern folks come down, but also parts of Florida are very southern, you know. But do people traditionally think about Florida as being a southern state? No, it's weird. It's south of the southern states, right? That's a weird thing. Do I sound Floridian after living here since 2008? I don't even know what that would be. And I don't think anybody would say, oh, you sound like somebody from Tampa. For sure. I don't think somebody would. Now, would somebody say, oh, you've lost your northern accent from when I was a kid and lived in Long Island? Of course. I don't.
Yeah, you don't sound like that either.
I don't fit there. But if I talk to southern people, even though I have been in the South, either Georgia or Florida since 87, I don't sound southern unless I'm talking to somebody from Boston, right? And so my whole point to this is like, will AI have an impact here? And maybe it's more than just dialect or certain wording from different areas. Yes, there's a fear here, right? That AI is what would be the word, homogenized, right? And that it would be it's gonna use the least common denominator, I suppose, of translation, which is to say it doesn't matter if Beth or I are from most parts of Canada, maybe not French Canadian, but most parts of Canada or the US. Beth and I, despite using different words along the way, are going to be able to have a perfectly comprehensive conversation. But is that a great thing if I'm in French Canada? Remember way back in the day, I had that, like, I think it was 11 Labs or whatever, and somebody laughed like hell and said, that is French, but that is not Parisian French. So all while I understand it, that's hilarious to listen to you speak that, because you're speaking French Canadian, not Parisian Canadian French, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
Which is the localization, right? And that is really key. I no longer know what I was going to say, so we can except that Jeff has because our commenters and watchers are amazing in the live show. Jeff has said he has just forked a conversation in ChatGPT that had an image in it, so we will autocorrect while we are live on the show.
Yeah, I love it.
Please go have fun forking. FORKING.
Do a lot of forking on Christmas. You know what I mean? just go wild, Beth. If you can't make yourself laugh, who can you make laugh?
There we go.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, yes, that was the second thing I was going to say from the comments. So you just broke it, and Greg said fork away. Yes, I knew Greg would be there. By the way, welcome, Greg. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, Jeff, if I didn't say it. I think Gwen, I got Gwen.
And Ahmed.
Anybody else in that I'm missing in here? Maybe. But yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas, obviously. But, you know, Happy Holidays to you. I hope you're getting to spend time with your friends and family, no matter what you're doing today. And obviously, Beth and I are just hanging out a little bit. I don't think we'll go too much farther here because I have to off to the in-laws' house and all the other things that go along with Christmas. I can hear my wife and my daughter eating eggs in the other room. Not literally, but they're eating eggs. I can't hear the eggs, but they're having some breakfast this morning as we're getting going and stuff. So I did want to bring up, I have one more topic, if you're cool with it, Beth. I have one more to talk about, and that's CES. So that's coming, was a Consumer Electronics Show, CES. That comes up every early January. Beth and I have said for like 3 years now on the show, 2 years in the show, like we're going to be on a stage sometime as the Daily AI Show. We'll manifest that. It's not going to happen this year, but maybe in 2027. But it is definitely on my bucket list to get out to CES. But I don't want to just do it for a day. Like I want to go do it and have the time to like. It's like kind of trying to walk the Louvre. It's like you need time because you couldn't even possibly stand 30 seconds at every booth. There's literally just too much there. So obviously over the last 3 years, AI is taken a very, very main stage of CES. And so while I don't have like all the things, because CES hasn't happened yet, it's early January when it happens. There's, let's see, this is zdnet.com, which often puts out pretty cool articles about tech and things. And so they say, look, there's 3 areas here. There's AI hardware, phones, helpful robots, AI, the nitty gritty, and then TVs. Okay, so without getting too deep into any of these, because I know we want to wrap things here. On the hardware side, they talk about wearables. We talked about wearables on the show, Beth, and just what's coming out, and obviously this rise of AI enabled wearables from smart glasses to pins to wristbands. I just got a wristband for Christmas. Literally this morning, I opened up a wristband and I wanted something that was actually funny enough, as much as we're into AI, I wanted something low tech. I don't really like watches. But I just wanted something that could track the basics while I was like running on a treadmill or something like that. But it's actually like legit low tech. It's just the strap without the screen. Cause I was like, I have a screen. I'm good. So it not AI enabled in the least bit, but obviously I do think in the fitness industry, we will just see more and more and more of this where you're not only tracking heart rate and steps and stuff, but there's just an AI enabled full on conversation, whether that's attached to an Amazon or Alexa Plus, like we talked about yesterday, or Siri or Gemini, or maybe it's some other net new language model that's curated for fitness. But I think that's going to be really, really common here in the future. Is we're going to see like that you're doing great, you're keeping on pace, or something in my ear as I'm running outside will be like you're speeding up. Actually, you're no longer on I'm not a runner, but like, let's just say it's a 750 pace. That would be amazing for me. Like you're no longer, you're speeding up too much or you're slowing down too much. You need, and like, it's taking the data, but then communicating that to me in a very natural language way, as opposed to me having to look and try to do the math and say, am I speeding up or am I slowing down? Or, hey, you're pushing a little too hard, or it has geolocation. It's like, hey, slow down now because there's a hill coming, which is laughable in Florida. There's no hills. But if I was somewhere where there were hills, and it wasn't flat, and sand, that, it would have something like that. So anyway, any thoughts? Do you know of any wearables, that, like, I know we kind of talked about this on the show, but as far as CES, are there any that you're expecting to see, Beth?
I don't know that I'm expecting, I'm expecting at some point what I want to see, and I'm still frustrated that it's not part of the main information that's shared about things. Is I want to see glasses for people who wear glasses, right? I want to see glasses where it's like, ooh, it'll talk to you, it'll have the little thing, and it'll do all of the stuff. And also you can dial in your prescription.
Yeah.
And we'll give you glasses.
Yeah.
And you can get in the car and dial in your car prescription, right? Like, it seems like such an obvious, really amazing use case. And I'm just not sure. Is it because the glass that you're putting in it, you're only making part of that a screen or something? But it is wild to me that has not yet occurred, because you could triple your use case, quadruple your use case.
And it's kind of becoming great. This is a obvious going to happen at some point thing. Right?
I would think so. And you could start it with readers, right?
Yeah.
Tap whatever, like go into reader mode and do 1x, 1.25, whatever those things are.
You would have my wife in a
have
second.
Money, guys. Like
you would have my wife in a second. She doesn't need glasses for some things, needs glasses for reading that are one prescription and focal length, whatever, and needs different glasses for the computer, and it drives her nuts because doing the trifocals or whatever isn't really a solution. That's annoying. She literally needs go-go gadget glasses that are clear and nothing,
right?
To reading, to boop, reading, to now the glasses, because right now she's, there's 3 pairs of glasses always around the house, and I feel for her. Like I wear these for the computer, but that's all I need. I'm fine otherwise, but these just stop me from straining when I'm looking at this screen, for hours upon the day. So I mean, I don't know who's solving that. Somebody must be, because Beth, that's got to be $1 billion industry or more, right? It's got to be. Just never mind the people who are going about fixing vision through, like, I don't know if they're AI or not, but like the contact lenses that change and adjust, and there's some crazy things going on with contact lenses. Talk about a micro scale of that or whatever. That's crazy. All right, I'm going to rapid fire through a couple more of these. Yay! Give me a yay or nay. This is how we do it at my family when we go to the movies and we have previews on. Okay. My family does this, or this. Okay, so this is right. So trifold phones. Not really AI, but that's a CES thing. Where do you feel? I gotta be honest with you. I'm gonna go thumbs down on trifold phones. I don't see the need for me personally to have the phone that folds out into a tablet, and then the things that I lose because of that. I'm not saying there's not great use cases for it, but it's a bigger market. I'm looking at one right now, and they're getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And I've seen Marquise Brownlee, do the reviews on them, and like Mr. Who's the Boss, which is another great tech YouTube channel that you can follow, and he'll buy like all of the phones from the year and do reviews on them. So I've certainly seen all the reviews on them. I can't really figure out if this is a very niche thing, but Apple's getting in on it. Maybe OpenAI with what they're doing, Johnny Ives. I don't know. All right.
I had a friend with a flip phone, and it seems to me that the market is people who have not figured out how to have a big box on their body in some way, and therefore want the box to get smaller.
Again, yeah, you're right. Like there's a market for it. I just think it's niche. I guess my thing is like, is it going to be mainstream? Is everybody going to have some sort of a fold out screen or a collapsible screen? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the thing. I know Greg was saying, have you seen the roll up laptop screens? I haven't, but not shocked at all to hear that that's a thing. And it'd be interesting to hear what the contrast and reflection. Okay. Another one on here. You've seen these now. I know we talked about Roomba going bankrupt, but just think about a Roomba. You've seen the ones with the articulating arms now, and they go and pick up a piece of, I don't know, lint or a piece of trash on the floor. I think these look ridiculous. I've never owned one. I've never owned a robot vacuum in my house. I'm not against them, but like I've had to go dig the one out of my father-in-law's underneath some, hutch in the house when they used to travel a lot. They'd be out in the RVs, and he'd be like, "Hey, go check on the house. When you check on the house, the Roomba's stuck again." I'm like, always. It was always stuck in some sort of cords or something. I was always retrieving it from somewhere and putting it back on the base. I guess I love the idea of maybe this little AI thing looking for things, but I'm going to go blah on that one.
So for me, I'm like this.
Okay.
This for me is because iRobot went bankrupt. So I feel like I would need to know more about the company behind it. Right.
Yeah.
But I remember saying that what I really wanted, and I said what I really want. Like, I just know that I've said this on the show before. I would like when it picks up something with its arm and it's like the Apple Pencil, right? Mm-hmm. I would like a text that said, "Hey, remember you were looking for the Apple Pencil? It's in my little basket here." Like
that would be amazing. Yeah.
The socks are fine, right? Like, or
right.
whatever. But there's some key things that I would like to be able to text. "Hey, when you do your little vacuum sweep this time, these are 2 things I can't find anymore. Please, like text me." Because now we're starting to get real user help, right? That's for me.
So if you're keeping track so far, because I know not everybody can see us, for the foldable screen, foldable phone, both Beth and I gave it a thumbs down. And
as did Gwen. You can play along at home here.
Oh yes, yeah, play along with it, because Gwen was like with arms, and Greg was explaining like, yeah, they expand. It does. It literally just comes out of the base of think of a Roomba, and this little arm comes out and it grabs a tissue or something, and then, well, frankly, I don't even know where it puts it because there's no basket on the one I'm looking at. So I don't know. I guess it goes and puts it in the trash for you, or puts it in some other corner of your house. I don't know. A collection dirt corner. I don't know how that works. But regardless, Beth gave it a up to middle, and I was a down. I was a thumbs down on that one. All right, we're going to move on to, I'm not sure what the nitty gritty is. So you know what? We're just going to wrap up and talk about TVs. Now,
Okay.
I'm not in the market for a TV. I have a 85-inch TV that is probably too big for the room it's in, but it's lovely and I've gotten used to it and it's great for movies. And if I want to add AI, I think I could probably easily do that, like we were talking about yesterday with the Alexa Plus and connectors to Fire, whatever. Right? I have Apple TV as my sort of like box, if you will. I don't do Apple. I don't do the Amazon Fire. However, do I love the idea of AI integrated TVs and being able to have conversations with the TV? Yeah, I think that kind of totally makes sense, especially when there is a direct, I don't know if this is what will come out in CES, but the idea that there's a direct correlation between what I'm seeing on the screen and kind of like we were saying yesterday of like, oh, remind me about that, or just talking to the TV and saying, hey, Samsung, send that to my screen, or remind me about that, or send that to my phone. And you can kind of do that now with the whole QR codes on the screen, but I'm talking a much more AI, natural language voice interaction where something comes across the screen. Maybe it's a preview for a movie coming up and you go, oh, hey, send it to my screen to my Fandango account, right? Or my AMC app, and tell me when this is coming up and playing in my local theaters and the times for Saturday. Like I talk into my iPad, my Apple remote right now. So that's got to be coming. Siri will obviously, once Siri finally gets to wherever Siri needs to be, maybe with Gemini, maybe with somebody else. I expect that to be the case inside the upgrades to the Apple TVs and stuff. That's off TV device, but I would say thumbs up is where I'm going to put it for any sort of AI enabled. I think there's going to be some really silly use cases that are just a CES thing that you go like, who needs that and why? But if I'm just talking about AI enabled TVs, I am very bullish. I would say yes, thumbs up to that one. Thoughts on this last one?
Yes. And again, I'm going to say, please focus on how people use equipment and not so much on the bells and whistles, right?
Yeah.
It would be lovely if while streaming and stuttering, instead of the message that comes up and says, hey, you might want to downgrade your bandwidth. Yeah. And then like, okay, where is that? Right? Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to menu and do all of the things. It would be lovely if it said, hey, you're stuttering. Would you like me to downgrade your bandwidth to A, B, C, or D? And I could say C is fine. It would also be, this is a little personally revealing, but it would also be great if while I'm having a conversation about, did we end on episode 5 or episode 6? Yeah. The TV says, no. The TV says, would you like me to tell you? Right? Yeah. Like, so you're on episode 6 because nobody touched anything for 2 hours. Yes. So it's likely, given your previous patterns, that you slept through episode 6 and we automatically turned off. So
you're on technically 6, but you have only seen 4. Yes, I'm with you. I've been there. I think that would be great. That usually happens to me. I hate to admit this. There are some YouTube channels that I also watch the videos, but I also know they're going to be great if I want to take a nap. Right. It is what it is. Sometimes you just need the background noise and you go, you know what? He's got a soothing voice and I'm going to fall right asleep on that. And then you realize I have to go back to my history on YouTube TV and find out what I did not watch. What was clearly on in the room, but I did not consume. So I get that 100%.
And like, again, I would want to say, okay, TV, okay, AI enabled TV, which is going to have some name that is not already taken by other names. Let's just set it that there's a code that I say at the beginning of every next show, right? Where we're going to autoplay. Yes. And that indicates that I'm still participating awake in the experience. And if I don't say the code, cool, just like lower volume over a 5-minute period so I don't immediately shift and then stop. Like these are just user interface things that, again, I think if you make people's lives easier, they will give you their money.
Yeah. And look, do I want a camera from my TV pointed directly at me and like potentially looking at what I'm doing in my house? No. Is there something that's probably LiDAR or is not as revealing or security wise that could be like, the message comes up on my phone. It says, "Hey, you might want to look back up at the TV, or you're about to miss an important plot point." Right? You're clearly distracted on your phone. We know this. We can tell you're on your phone because of the Wi-Fi bandwidth in the house, and you're going to ask questions. We know you're going to miss it. So yes, I'm with you, Beth. Like, make a smart AI that's going to help me in the way that I already interact with TV, which is distracted and, sometimes background noise and whatever. So I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think where we'll end here is on Greg's comment, which is AI will be everywhere, paint on the wall inside your plants. And that's a very Greg thing to say. So thank you, Greg, for saying that, because Greg is very bullish. That's the word of the day, I guess. But yes, I agree with you, Greg. It will be, and CS is a great place, by the way, getting back to that, of like, somebody will make a paint and you'll go, I did not think I needed AI as part of my paint, but here we are. And CS is usually the place that somebody has thought about that and already built a demo or a good enough prototype that they can kind of show on the show floor. And then it makes the news because it's insane. So I agree with you, Greg. Everything from your plants need water, do you want me to take care of that for you, to all the interactive, whatever we think of as a smart home today probably pales in comparison for what the smart home of the future is, which is a very vocal, interactive, multi-touch point, multi-integrated thing, from our plants to our lights to everything else. So that's where we will probably leave it for today. And hey, we hung out more than I thought we would today. So that's great. Hey, listen, again, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody who showed up today. You guys are the best. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We don't ever know who's going to show up on holidays, but y'all are here. Thank you for being so interactive in the comments. Thanks for listening. If you're listening to this after the fact, I hope you have a wonderful day. Beth, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day with the dogs, and hopefully they don't keep you up more. And I think we'll leave it there. I will not be here tomorrow, but I know you, and I think Karl said he'll be back, and Andy and stuff. So we'll have some of the crew back tomorrow. So I will see everybody next week, but don't forget to come back tomorrow to wrap up the week. And like I said, we will be here all next week and on into 2026. So keep on coming back, keep on hanging out. See everybody. Right. Merry Christmas.
And if you're coding this afternoon, I'm joining you.
There you go.
Let's play. All right.
And the word of the day is keep forking. Bye, everybody.
It's an important part of the process.
Merry Christmas. Bye, everybody. Bye, Beth.